Before we start talking about this topic, we also know that even before this wave of agentic AI and autonomous decision making came about, there were many applications or many areas where we are actually using autonomous way of working. For example, we always knew the concept of algorithmic trading, where you don't need a human being to start buying and selling your shares. You can just do that using an agent, or using a bot, or using an algorithm, whatever way you call it. But there are other applications also. For example, if you are looking at a very process intensive industry where there are multiple parameters to be changed at that point in time as part of the process, it's virtually impossible for a human being to sit there and make those changes manually. You need an autonomous way of changing and tweaking the production parameters, say of a furnace or of a process, so that you can on a runtime or a real-time basis, you can increase the throughput of your production process, or you can reduce the cost of poor quality, or you can increase the reliability of the process and all that, right? So we know that, and there are different layers of autonomy you can give in terms of how that entire process happens from beginning till end. So there are many more such examples where we know and we are very comfortable in terms of having an algorithm or having an AI or having an agent do the work for us, because either it is too complicated for us to do, or it is too intensive, or it requires a 24/7 effort from our side. So it makes our life a lot easier if you are able to use some of these autonomous agents. Now, what has really changed and shifted the way is that the decision making is now getting more and more accurate using these agents, because we now have the ability of AI and machine learning and Gen AI and all of that. So combination of AI and automation is creating new possibilities for us, right? So I will just open the discussion with you probably to start with, that how have you seen the history of this entire landscape changing? We used to have a robotic process automation, which was also an automation, and now we are talking about an agentic AI and agentic automation. So maybe some perspectives in terms of how you see this entire landscape has evolved. I think that could be a good way to start before we delve into other details.
This wave started somewhere when the RPA got introduced as a term, though there was different UI scripting with pixel-based things which were happening even good 15, 20 years back. But RPA kind of created first wave of, really automating at scale. And, top 4-5 companies started that. And I think I have experienced that wave in early 2016-17. I was working for a company called Unilever, and I was leading their automation practice globally. And we built a lot of bots across applications to be able to automate those processes. And as we did that, a lot of cognitive skills were coming up, chatbots, OCR technologies, intelligent OCR, some image thing, some voice thing, and all that was getting augmented with these basic automation technologies. That happened, I would say 2018 to 2022, 23. And since then, these LLMs changed the way we actually develop these automations, because the way I see it is the models actually understand the intent and context of the data quite well. And that's where this whole agents became a lot more intelligent, and that's what is, in some sense, AI agents, and hence infusing AI into those non-intelligent agents, which is RPA and few basic scripts, etc., became AI agents, and we were playing around that. And I think what's happening now, and which is, just fresh out of oven, and we are all seeing that, which is agentic AI, which is being ability to be able to integrate all these multiple AI agents, and do automation at scale and end to end.
Because we are talking about a lot of these applications in the organization. Maybe Amit, I'll try to kind of get your perspective in terms of how your organization or how organizations in general are using this concept of agentic AI and autonomous decision making in some of the business areas, some of the applications which you are seeing is going to add a lot of value.
One is, we have been trying to use agentic AI as part of the customer service voice bot, where, it exactly mimics the real support executive and is able to kind of answer almost 80% to 90% of the queries. We have been doing a pilot on that with one of our partners. And, the best part of it is also able to talk multilingual. So you start speaking in English, then you move to Hindi, automatically it moves into the language, switch back to English, it does that. So one of that is the agentic AI part. In terms of the automation part of it and the the autonomous decision making, we have been applying AI in the field of the supply chain. I come from retail. My previous work has been in the area of retail. Now therein, we have been using AI a lot in terms of the returns management solution and those kind of thing. In terms of operations, the video analytics and those kind of things, the store analytics, those, and specifically, one of the key things in the business is, how fast can we liquidate our products, at what price, at what location, so that we maintain the profitability and the margins. And we have been using AI a lot in that space to, which typically in the retail term we call it as a markdown optimization.
Another area which I have at least seen is a lot of back office automation, particularly around some of the KYC which many of the banks do, or many of the risk management processes which you kind of would want a lot of rigor to be there because you do not want to miss out even one anomaly or one kind of discrepancy, and it is sometimes possible for a human being to overlook. But if you have a more standardized way of doing it using a bot, then more often than not you will be able to catch that, right? So maybe I'll kind of repeat the same question back to you, Vivek, in terms of what are you seeing from your perspective in terms of some of the practical applications of agentic AI?
I think some of the use cases what we are trying to do, one in the field force. So we are a adhesive company. We sell glues and waterproofing products out there in the market, and we have a large field force with a large attrition, right? On field we have 4,000 to 5,000 people every day, touching to 1 million plus retail shops and 3 million influencers, these painters, waterproofers, carpenters, and all that. So that's the kind of touch base which happens. And these chemicals, what we produce, are technically, are technical products in some sense. You need to know if you want to glue a water bottle to this wooden thing, what kind of adhesive, what needs to be done, and how to glue it, and all that. So it's a technical subject. Now, to be able to interact with our distributors, retailers, users, you need an expertise. So person who has spent 10 years with Pidilite, they are good. But who has just joined a month back and with basic training, with 2,000 SKUs what we have, it's almost impossible to be able to do a right interaction. So then they are getting powered by an agent, which of course in the back end is a lot of agentic tech which has been thrown there, and which we're right now building, and some use cases we have already deployed. And the beauty of that is it can answer anything about any of our product, be it by product, question on a product, or be it a question on the application that I want to do this. It will find out. Now this is out of the box, it will work as long as you write data, all the unstructured data, but you have poured in the data, it works. Then when I go in the market, today as a salesperson, I connect to 20, 30 retailers, right? I don't know what is their performance on my head. I mean, whatever preparation I do during my travel from home to the market side, that's limited. Now, this structured data which we have, and we have all over last decade, have put a lot of money in Power BIs and, different kinds of structured databases and all. But ultimately, it's of the use when I am able to use that pinpointed thing which is specific to that user or to retailer, that how has your performance been, why are you not buying this, what are the discount offers running, what traditionally his behaviors are and all that. Now these kind of platforms are able to very quickly contextualize the data which is there in my data bank and be able to directly help to that salesperson what are the 5 things I have to speak and what are the pitches I have to do.
I'll continue, Vivek, with you with that, while the aspiration of an organization will be to do a lot of things using these applications and tools and technologies, what is the practical way in which you have seen it happen in your organization or other organizations where you can bring this to life and scale it in the context of an organization?
That's one of the role which as CIDO, I actually run workshops just to demystify this word of technology for all leaders. And significant effort is going there, so that's one. They then come out with a lot of art of possibles from their simple thing. And that, our job is how do we quickly turn it around with them, without them, with partners, so that that culture gets built, they start appreciating. That's the bottom-up part. But honestly, that is not going to change bottom line, top line significantly. It's culture, it's understanding peace and, having the delight and, giving that differential value in their day-to-day stuff. The second thing we are doing is top-down, right? And which is really the management committee discussions. So some of those workshops plus all the C-suite people, we take top 10, 15 use cases, and then we filter down to top 3, 4. In this quarter, we want to build it. But then we're talking about significant value which company will unlock. And good 60-70% of our tech resources or capacity is deployed behind those 3, 4 use cases.
So maybe, Amit, I'll come back to you with your perspectives on this subject of how do you actually make it happen in your organization?
3 things that I think is very, very important is the early involvement of the stakeholders, cross-functional teams, like Vivek talked about, selecting the right kind of use cases, going slow, not, kind of in a rush to scale up. Second is in terms of the feedback loop, taking, on time-to-time feedback so that it doesn't become a disaster at the end of it. And the third one is the audit and the security. I have seen a lot of cultural issues as well, to be very honest, because initially all stakeholders are very excited. But as we go deeper into it, and once they see the control going off, and some, some automation or some tool is making that decision in place of them, they really are not too happy or satisfied with them. So we try to kind of maintain the control with the human, but then the recommendation and all the back-end work, and that is all automated.
Any perspectives on the trust and adoption part of it, if you have seen anywhere which has become a bit of a challenge or a bottleneck or not?
In call center, where my customers are calling, I'm playing with Agentic AI for any anything, whether some WhatsApp chatbot where my carpenters are actually asking for information, etc. It has to be enterprise grade. It has to be 20 times tested in the back end because that's where my brand reputations are. But if I'm playing with something on employee experience side and I'm automating 20 mundane activities, what people do, approving 20 things and applying leave and all that, a simple flow and asking any policy questions, etc., I'll not be too much careful about it. I'll go with speed. So I think how do we actually, and say sorry within organization if something goes wrong and say, okay, I'm bringing it down, I'll come back tomorrow. So I think how do we actually differentiate between the two extremes is how I will put it. But I think one more thing on this is, I think ultimately it's all about data, right? If your data strategy, data architecture, data platforms, quality, lineage, so many different concepts, I think from technology's perspective, those are the roles which we'll have to put in so that there are proper data owners, the right platforms, governances around, because ultimately developing these products will become super easy, right? And more businesses, and as culture ticks in, people will automatically start building all those things. But if you have not built the foundation properly, then unlocking that potential will get restricted.
What do you think are some of the key challenges or bottlenecks you have faced or you think need to be addressed in addition to whatever we spoke about in terms of the data and everything else?
One of the key things is in terms of when it comes to cost and when it comes to scale. So earlier I talked about doing a video analytics kind of solution, and there were a lot of use cases in terms of monitoring the entire customer behavior once he or she enters into a store till the exit, like which aisle they went into, how many how much time they spent, which products they picked up, was there a store assistant to kind of assist them, how was the conversation, how was the emotions, and all of those kind of things. So the business came back saying that we want everything. And from a technology side, we wanted to kind of make it very small, but then no, we want to start all the use cases. We had spent a lot of time doing these use cases and making it. Finally, when the cost part of it came in, it was huge. So I think the cost, the infrastructure, and the GPUs and all that is something that we need to optimize.
Uh, Now that you're talking about the cost, I'm very tempted to ask, either of you, maybe Vivek, what kind of rigor you would generally follow in terms of figuring out the return on investment on these kind of initiatives. Some of these initiatives might require a bit of an experimentation, so there is no real return you can actually quantify to begin with, but sooner, very, very soon somebody will start asking about what is the return it is generating for the business, right? I mean, I have seen those kind of conversations a lot. So how do you tackle this slightly thorny area of quantifying the benefits? Because at the end of the day, it has to run just like any other business, that you are putting in some investment and you want a return on that investment.
So top down, I mean, from a CIO role perspective, I don't have any pressure. Art of possible has been explained. Value, costs, somebody needs to marry, and then only then we'll do the top down. The problem is bottom up, because our intention is that everyone appreciates the technology and play around with this, and there is no significant value then to that, right? I think it's a bit of some investments unlocked on the name of AI culture and AI investments for future ready and all that. And bit of the way I am playing around is, at least in our organization we are doing is, it's driven by some of the saving initiatives, right? That a lot of traditional tech is also getting optimized because of all these advancements. And that savings we are pouring into be able to create the value. No clear ROI, but these are two practical approaches I am following, honestly, in my organization.